Standard 2 Knowledge of Culture and Diversity. Accomplished teachers of English language learners model and build respect and appreciation for cultural diversity, demonstrating to their students and others that students can succeed academically while maintaining their cultural identities. Appreciation of cultural diversity, knowledge about the characteristics of particular cultures, and development of instructional strategies useful in teaching across cultures are all rooted in understanding one's own culture and culture in general. Accomplished teachers of English language learners know that learning a new language implies understanding a new culture. Teachers understand the connections between a student's cultural identity and academic success. Teachers understand that just as students learn to function in school and society, teachers and their colleagues also learn to establish culturally responsive classrooms and schools. Teachers take an additive approach to culture. They teach students about the cultures of the United States while supporting the students' home cultures. Accomplished teachers critically reflect on their own assumptions and biases to meet the needs of all students. Teachers work with school staff and community members to identify, examine, and respond to the causes of discrimination, prejudice, inequity, and injustice. They collaborate with colleagues and community members to work toward creating school environments in which students of all backgrounds are valued and receive the support, guidance, and instruction to succeed academically and in society. Knowledge and understanding of culture and diversity. Accomplished teachers of English language learners realize that acquiring and understanding of students' cultures is a continuous process. Teachers know that culture includes the beliefs, behaviors, values, and traditions that are socially constructed, negotiated, and shared among a group. They understand that the term encompasses notions of ethnicity, racial identity, family structure, language, socioeconomic status, and religious and political views. Teachers include students' families and communities among the resources they consult to expand their knowledge about the personal, social, and educational backgrounds of their students. By doing so, teachers construct an understanding of cultural contexts and identities that transcends simplistic or stereotypical portrayals. Teachers recognize that students who share the same country of origin might, in reality, represent widely diverse experiences resulting from regional differences or socioeconomic factors. Familiarizing themselves with students' lives outside school contexts enables teachers to build bridges between students' home cultures and school experiences. Accomplished teachers understand that students represent widely divergent cultural backgrounds that cannot be tied to simple geographic locations. Some students from war-torn countries have adopted the cultural norms and behaviors of refugee camps where they have lived. Some students from industrialized urban areas have acquired the cultural norms of multilingual friends. Some from regions alongside other countries have lived in communities that largely follow the customs and beliefs of bordering nations and have developed binational identities that enable them to move seamlessly between neighboring cultures. Accomplished teachers demonstrate sensitivity toward the cultural practices and perspectives of their students. Teachers realize that many things most commonly identified as culturally characteristic, such as traditional foods, clothing, and popular music, are often surface-level manifestations of deeper attributes of a group's cultural identity. These might include values regarding what is most important, beliefs about what is right or appropriate, and attitudes toward the world and others in it. Teachers recognize certain values as universal, such as parents' desire for their children's success, and they realize that cultural groups vary in how they enact these core values. Teachers interpret student behaviors in terms of underlying cultural characteristics and help others outside the students' cultural groups understand and appreciate diverse cultural viewpoints and experiences. Culturally responsive learning environments. Accomplished teachers recognize that the presence of students from diverse cultures presents opportunities that can enrich learning activities and serve as a framework for academic success. Teachers capitalize on the cultural experiences their students bring to school. In a lesson on test-taking skills, for example, teachers might invite students to share techniques they use to prepare for tests in their homelands, such as working in study teams. Teachers incorporate students' diverse perspectives into their instructional decisions. Teachers know when students who are practicing Muslims observe Ramadan through fasting, for instance, and encourage colleagues to accommodate students with specific needs during this holy period. Appropriate accommodations might include providing a space away from the cafeteria during lunch or refraining from scheduling important tests or physically demanding activities late in the afternoon when these students, who will not eat or drink before sunset, are tired and hungry. Such culturally responsive approaches to instructional design and implementation honor the cultural knowledge and experiences of English language learners and can validate their own and other cultures. Accomplished teachers of English language learners understand the need for explicit instruction of cultural behaviors associated with academic settings in the United States. For example, teachers instruct students on how to express opinions verbally in group settings as well as in writing. Teachers might offer students opportunities to uphold their viewpoints with peers or have students practice expressing opinions in small groups by providing students with sentence stems that present the language structure or argumentative discourse. Teachers encourage students who are reluctant to share their ideas. Teachers also teach conversational skills by instructing students in culturally sensitive ways to take turns, to adjust their voice volume to particular contexts, and to speak directly to listeners. While instructing students in cultural behaviors required for students' academic success in school, teachers support the maintenance and development of communication skills that students may use in their communities and at home. Accomplished teachers recognize that student interactions can result in their integration or marginalization in school, and that some students may withdraw from participating in classroom activities such as literature circles or demonstrate signs of alienation. Accomplished teachers understand the effects of such marginalization on students' abilities to gain English language proficiency and to learn cultural behaviors and conventions for specific situations, so they use a range of strategies to engage all students. Teachers might model appropriate behaviors explicitly, provide detailed explanations about their use, and seek curricula for teaching them. Teachers might provide students opportunities for immediate success by helping them understand and communicate using a variety of discourse styles in the classroom, thus increasing their abilities to succeed in the larger society. Accomplished teachers know that school culture in the United States is not monolithic. As a dynamic entity, it varies across communities, districts, regions, and states. Teachers acknowledge that subtle school cultures often exist that may not be initially obvious to students. At some schools, for instance, students of similar ethnic groups tend to eat lunch together, while at other schools, students eat in mixed ethnic groups. Teachers recognize that the predominant school cultures that affect such behaviors as the use of personal space and taking turns are generally not taught to native speakers of English beyond the earliest years in school. Teachers therefore help their students understand certain aspects of accepted school behavior by explicitly teaching such concepts as how much personal space to allow while standing in line and how to take turns during classroom discussions. Accomplished teachers help students adjust to and participate in school by facilitating positive academic experiences. Teachers know that students new to this country may have prior educational experiences that differ markedly from those of their peers born in the United States, and they respond thoughtfully to individual students' needs. For example, some students may be perplexed by the opportunity to choose an individual project or participate actively at a learning station. Teachers ensure that instructional activities demonstrate understanding towards students' cultural beliefs and practices. When grouping students for cooperative assignments, for instance, teachers honor students' cultural identities. For example, teachers may allow young girls from Saudi Arabia who may prefer and work more effectively with female partners to complete a project together. Student advocacy. Accomplished teachers use a range of activities to welcome newcomers and help them succeed in school and society. For example, teachers might seek assistance for students who feel isolated or depressed, or consult with community resource personnel about effective ways to ease students' transition to life in the United States. Teachers might arrange for students to receive instruction in their primary languages when possible, assign classroom partners to help students adjust to school, build support systems for students and their families, or develop and deliver instruction especially designed for new students. As advocates for English language learners, accomplished teachers work to make school culture inclusive and reflective of culturally diverse groups. Teachers might collaborate with colleagues to provide families with resources such as bilingual dictionaries or activity calendars that reflect the school's linguistic and cultural diversity. They might also promote celebrations that emphasize the community's ethnic and cultural traditions, oversee the creation of a multilingual telephone menu, assist in the development of a school website that includes the languages of their students, or help design multilingual signs and information resources. Teachers might work with curriculum committees to embed authentic multicultural literature into the curriculum. Through such efforts, teachers enhance their students' awareness of and appreciation for the richness of their own cultures and those of their peers. Accomplished teachers understand that cultures are dynamic and that the cultural identities of their students are fluid and complex. English language learners may not necessarily identify with the culture of family members, with the culture of their home countries, or with any cultural group in the United States. Teachers realize that many students and their families are undergoing significant life changes that can affect students' ability to focus on school. A secondary student whose family immigrated to the United States several years prior to the student's arrival, for instance, may have difficulty adjusting to family, school, and community cultures while simultaneously adjusting to learning a new language. Accomplished teachers could form support groups to provide assistance to students and their families in such situations. Accomplished teachers value the significance and implications of unique cultural beliefs and practices, including school and community cultures in the United States, and they thoughtfully guide students and their families as they attempt to interpret new experiences and succeed in the United States. Teachers may sometimes assume the role of cultural mediator as students learn about and participate in a new culture notably different from their own. Teachers know that students may face choices between honoring the values, beliefs, or behaviors of their home cultures and adopting those of the school or of their new community. Accomplished teachers assist students as they navigate the cultural complexities of a society that uses racial labeling and categorization. Some English language learners are confused, for instance, when they discover they are considered European by some government entities because they were born in Spain, but Hispanic by other agencies because their parents are Chilean. Teachers recognize that such methods of identification may confuse recently arrived students unaccustomed to such practices, and teachers provide them appropriate guidance and support. When students fill out demographic information prior to taking standardized tests, for instance, teachers might acquaint students with ethnic and racial categories they are likely to encounter. Accomplished teachers also acknowledge that some English language learners may confront unwelcoming attitudes from students who do not understand their cultural identities or experiences. Newly arrived students, for example, may not fit in with other students from the same country who have lived in the United States for several years because the new students dress, act, or speak differently. As a result, teachers provide students who are in a period of cultural adjustment with assistance in comprehending and coping with the multilingual and multicultural realities of their lives. Furthermore, teachers work with staff and students to promote understanding about such processes and to establish school environments that value and support students. Accomplished teachers recognize and attempt to avoid cultural bias in their curriculum, instruction, and assessment. They do not assume, for example, that students are familiar with iconic stories of Americana such as the Itsy Bitsy Spider at the early childhood level, George Washington and the Cherry Tree at the elementary level, or Paul Revere's Ride at the secondary level. Instead, they explicitly teach any requisite background information and, whenever possible, draw on students' prior knowledge and experiences to assist learning. Teachers work collaboratively with colleagues to increase awareness of cultural bias within content area curricula. Teachers may participate in textbook review committees, for example, to examine cultural biases in proposed textbooks. Reflection. Accomplished teachers develop a deep knowledge and understanding of culture as both a target of student learning and a factor affecting student learning. Teachers are alert to their own philosophical, cultural, and experiential biases and take these into account when working with students whose backgrounds, beliefs, or values may differ substantively from their own. Teachers analyze issues of culture in their school environments to ensure opportunities for students to learn about and function in a new culture while maintaining their own culture. Teachers also critically reflect on possible biases in their instructional materials and classroom management strategies and act upon this reflection to promote student learning. is the end of Standard 2.